The Moment Anamorphic lens is easily my favorite lens from Moment. Let's talk about why. If you follow me on social media, you've probably seen me post quite a bit about the Moment Anamorphic lens. I've posted photos and videos and more photos and more videos and even more photos and more videos shot with this lens. And the reason why I've posted so much about it and so much with it is because I absolutely love this lens. So when you're shooting with an anamorphic lens, whether this is the Moment Anamorphic lens or an actual cinema anamorphic lens, a few things happen to your footage. So first of all, you have that wider aspect ratio, that more cinematic, more filmic look. Secondly, the things that are out of focus, so in the background or even in the foreground, the out of focus blur looks very different than what you would see on a normal spherical lens. You have kind of a stretched vertically look, or maybe a squished horizontally blur. It's hard to explain, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then also the bokeh balls, the round things that when there's like a light that's out of focus, it gets all big and circular. That's instead a vertical oval. And finally, you get the classic anamorphic flares, which are very, very fun and a kind of a dead giveaway of an anamorphic lens. Now, one thing to note is that you won't really see those crazy anamorphic vertical ovals of the out of focus light on the Moment Anamorphic, because there's not that much shallow depth of field on a phone because the sensor is like absolutely tiny. And so that's just one thing to be aware of. But pretty much everything else, you do see that with this anamorphic lens. So taking a quick look at build quality, again, it's very, very good. The one thing I did notice is that because the glass on the back is actually kind of inset, you can't clean it all too well. So it's gotten a bit dusty and it's not the best, but I haven't really noticed affect my footage all too much. So I don't really worry about it, but when I see it, I'm kind of like, I wish I could clean that. But anyway, it's a great, very well made lens. It feels very hefty and it doesn't feel cheap or plasticky. Same thing as with the wide and tele lenses that I reviewed in my previous video. Let's talk about how I use this anamorphic lens. And before we go into software, let's talk about hardware. The case I'm using to actually mount the lens onto the phone is not by Moment. Moment does make some very nice cases for the iPhone, Samsung, OnePlus, but I'm not really a huge fan of those cases because they're a bit bulky and they're not extremely good looking. And so I'm actually using a case by Nomad. They make this one, it's called the rugged leather case with the Moment mount thing. I'm not exactly sure the exact name of this case, but it's very, very nice, and huge thanks to the Nomad team for sending this out to me. Absolutely love it. So this lens is primarily targeted for video, but you can definitely shoot photos, and I shoot a lot of photos, but we'll get to that in a second. When I'm shooting video with the Moment Anamorphic, I'm using an app called Filmic Pro. It allows you to have pretty much complete control over your video, so you can change things like shutter speed and ISO and focus. You can lock these various things. You can do focus pulls. You can set the bitrate of your video and shoot in different aspect ratios, as well as frame rates and things like that. So it's very, very nice, and it's what I use for shooting video with the Moment Anamorphic, as well as most of the time when I'm shooting just like normal video. Although if I do need like a quick shot that I can't really load up Filmic Pro for, then I'll just use the Apple Camera app. But when I'm shooting kind of more important videos, I definitely use Filmic Pro because it is absolutely awesome. So moving on to the photo side of things, there's a couple routes you can take. You can shoot with Moment's their own app, which has an anamorphic mode that lets you de-squeeze JPEGs, which is great. Sometimes I want to shoot RAW though, so then I'll just open it up in Halide and take a photo. Now the photo will not be de-squeezed, so it'll be kind of squished looking, but I can edit that RAW and then export and de-squeeze that either in an app called de-squeeze, which isn't the best app and it's kind of buggy, or I can de-squeeze it on my computer, no problem. But funnily enough, I've been shooting a lot of photos on the anamorphic. I've probably shot more photos than video, but I just think it's an amazing, amazing lens. The reason why I like it is that it gives you that very filmic, very cinematic framing that's more widescreen, if you will. And yeah, I just think it's a lot of fun, and I've been posting quite a few photos shot with the anamorphic. But now I want to turn it over to my dude Oliver, who's an incredibly talented filmmaker and audio engineer and musician and all sorts of things, and find out what he likes about the Moment Anamorphic lens. He only got it like a few days ago, so I'm excited to hear what he has to say. Take it away, Oliver.
Yo, Jackson, thanks so much for having me on, man. I was like super pumped when you asked for me to come talk about my experience with the anamorphic lens, because guess what? It just came in 2 days ago. Here it is right there. So my initial impression of this thing was I was confused how to actually get it on my phone, but once I did that, it was great. And like, look, it's such a dope thing. So first of all, this thing is gorgeous. I just love looking at it. I mean, just like the form factor of it sitting there on the phone on this beautiful wood foam case, or like wood grain rather. It's a great looking lens, and just putting it on the phone, I feel super legit running around and filming with my phone. So a little background on me. I'm not much of a mobile photographer, mobile filmmaker. I'm a professional full-time filmmaker. So when I go to a shoot, I've got all the gear, all the rigs, you know, going out and actually getting things done with a C200. So for me to step back and say, hey, I can actually do some fun stuff just with my phone. I don't need the GoPros. I don't need the little stuff. You know, to go make films with my phone was super attractive. Now, when this came in the mail, I opened it up, and just looking at it, I could feel something, you know, something cold in my chest was melting. And I knew that I was destined to start making good films with the anamorphic lens. And it helps that I have an iPhone XS Max. 256 gigabytes of storage is important for all that video. Now, one of the coolest things about this is in the Moment app, you can actually mess with all your exposure triangle stuff. You can touch ISO and shutter speed and frame rate. I can shoot 60 frames at 4K with enough light and enough pixels. You squeeze that thing down to 1080p, stretch it out, and it's gonna look really buttery good. You know what I'm saying? Because here's the thing. At the end of the day, all the gear we talk about is the last 10% of every project. 90% of the project is the story you're telling, the context, the characters, the inspiration, the mood, the emotion. The last 10% of every film project is the gear. If all you have is a phone and you can put this super dope lens on that stretches it out to that really nice 239:1 that we love to see in the theaters, a kind of IMAX look, anamorphic look, and you can get that just from your phone, then like if you got a good story, you're gonna have an excellent film. So what this lens does for me is it inspires me to go make cool stuff. Like yesterday, I made this dumb thing where I just went across the street to Goat Hill Coffee right here in Kansas City, one of my favorite coffee shops in the whole city. Got myself a nice latte, came on back, and you know, it was kind of humorous, but it looked great. It graded nicely, which was super cool to me. I've never tried to grade footage from my phone before, but I put a LUT on top of it, and I just love the way it kind of came together. And just the aspect ratio is everything. So of all the lens companies out there that make lenses for phones, Moment is by far the best. They're the highest quality, the most durable, the best looking image, and just the coolest in general people involved because they're super dope. So anyway, to wrap up my comprehensive review portion of this part of Jackson's video, your video, Jackson, here it is. I like it. Back to you.
Well, that's the Moment Anamorphic lens. I think it's an absolutely incredible lens, and it is easily my favorite lens by Moment. I'd love to hear what you guys think of the Moment Anamorphic lens. Definitely drop a comment down below. If you're interested in picking up the Moment Anamorphic lens for yourself, which I highly recommend you do, there is a link down in the description, which is an affiliate link. So if you buy through that, I get a little commission, and that helps support the channel. But yeah, definitely check that out in the description below. And huge thanks to Oliver for collabing with me on this video. I had a ton of fun, and I think you guys would really enjoy the types of videos that he makes, so definitely check out his channel at the link in the description. Well, that's it. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button. If you enjoy cinematic filmmaking and photography videos, hit that subscribe button. Thanks, and I'll see y'all later.